You are watching the Deadfoot Diver Podcast with Curt, the Deadfoot Diver.
But I have to ask, out of all the stuff that you've done, I got to talk a couple of minutes about the Andrea Doria.
Okay.
Because the Andrea Doria, when I got out of diving, that was actually my goal, was to dive the Andrea Doria. I actually had called up Steve Belinda one day. I can still remember the conversation I had with her. That conversation will never leave my memory.
I still, with the internet being what it is, it's like, I still, hear from Steve Belinda all the time. But if we, uh, uh, um, if we, the sad reality of shipwrecks are shipwrecks are born and they age the same way people do. And at some point, the Andrea Doria is just going to be kind of a brown stain on the sand, and then even that's going to go away. That's life. For me, for Steve Belinda, we were kind of, we were in our prime at the same time the Andrea Doria was in her prime, and I think it's just one of those things. You couldn't have planned it that way, but it just worked out that way. So I think I was incredibly fortunate. Last time I was on the Andrea Doria was right before COVID. I haven't been there since COVID. The summer prior to that, I was there, and it's like the wreck to me seemed much smaller.
Really?
When we were diving it on air, it seemed giant. It's like going back to like the third grade and looking at the little desk. This desk was much bigger when I was here before. Uh, um, but it is, the Andrea Doria was the place where it would give you as much rope as you wanted to hang yourself, and that was the problem, and that not everybody understood that, and I think that when we were diving the wreck on air, we had virtually no fatalities. But then the wreck started seeing a lot of traffic, and much more of it was on helium. And so it's like, oh, helium is we were much, our progress was a lot slower on air because we realized how dangerous that environment was. And I think some of that got lost in the transition to helium and trimix divers, and we as a community, divers figured that out after a while. But there were quite a few fatalities.
So do you think a lot of that is also based on guys trying to dive that record like just way too soon before they were prepared for it?
Absolutely. Well, you had guys who ended up being fatalities that were really, they were good divers, but the thing is they didn't have the same kind of experience. there was one guy who literally went from he was diving, diving a set of doubles, twin K valves, no manifold. So he's diving a cylinder, and he's swapping the regulators, in the however he was doing it during the dive. So I breathe some on this tank, I breathe some on this tank. For the Andrea Doria, and I can't tell you how many times this caused a problem in that I'm going for the big dive. I gotta change everything. It's like, and again, it's like what I was saying about there being every dive is a training opportunity. You don't train one way and then say, oh, I'm going on the big dive. I'm going to change everything because it's the big dive.
Yeah.
But he added a third bottle, a pony bottle. So now he's got 3 regulators. He gets down there. He's not real experienced with dealing with narcosis. He breathes down one tank empty and switches over to the pony bottle, thinking he switched over to the other tank. And then the guy runs out of gas on the pony bottle. So there's several problems there. It's like, number one, if how much gas do you think you're using? If that's the case, obviously it seemed to us that he was using more than he expected to use. But the thing is, when he breathes the one and he breathes the other, so here's the guy who ends up drowning on the rack, and he's still got a full cylinder of gas on his back. So that is it is not having the experience in that Andrea Doria type environment. In that, I mean, we made enough dives, and of course the Andrea Doria wasn't the only deep wreck we were diving, but if we had enough dives on the Andrea Doria to figure out what worked and what didn't work relative to narcosis. So it's like, we understood our limitations better from deep air diving because we knew what we could do to mitigate the situation to give us a little bit more of an advantage. And I mean, to be specific, we found that the dives where we use less gas, we had less narcosis. Well, so why are we using less gas? Well, if you're cold, you use more gas. If you're scared, you use more gas. Or if you're working hard, you use more gas.
Yep.
Okay, don't get cold, don't get scared, and don't work hard.
Yep.
If you do that, you are. It's not that nitrogen narcosis isn't a thing, and we didn't understand the science. Now, of course, we understand the science much better. CO2 plays a significant role, but we had the time. We took the time. We had the opportunity to I mean, what works and what doesn't work. I went to set the hook with Richie Kohler one time on the Doria, and I had my video camera, and I'm like, dude, if you can manage the hook without me, I'm just going to shoot video. If you need me, I'm there for you. He's like, okay. Well, we went down the grapple and we weren't where we wanted to be. So we wanted to move the line. So basically, Richie's like, I got it. He's humping the chain and I'm kind of shooting video of him humping the chain. So the current's kind of pulling us along. And, we get to the place where we want to be, and he takes the chain and he wraps it around and he makes it all right, hooks everything up, like, done. And I'm shooting video of him. And he's like, undoes the whole thing and then does it again. So we get back on the boat and I'm like, well, that was good. That was, we're right where we want to be. Good job. Like, I was like, what was that thing where you tied it off and then you undid everything and you retied it again? He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, where you tied off and then, put the shackle on and then you untied everything and then you tied it again. And he's like, I didn't do that. I said, yeah, you did. And he's like, no, I didn't. I was like, yes, you did. And I have it on video. And he's watching the video and he's like, I got no recollection of this. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, so we learned. We learned to minimize our physical exertion if we wanted to minimize narcosis. And anything that eats up your gas is going to have anxiety is the same thing. I scared myself, or being cold. Anything where you use more of your gas supply. I mean, you're breathing more molecules of nitrogen. So,
yeah.
But we don't. It is the subjectivity that we don't fully get as divers without experience.
Yeah.
The things that are subjective become clearer with the more experience that you have.
So what out of all the stuff that you've salvaged off the Andrea Doria, because you've pulled up a fairly large amount of all over the years, what would you say is the coolest thing that you've brought up off the Doria?
I would say I got a couple of there were in the first class lounge there was a scene of medieval life as told on these ceramic tiles. And I think, I don't remember exactly now, but I think it's like 11 or 12 tiles. One set on the port side, one set on the starboard side of the first class lounge. And so, when with the photographs of the Andrea Doria first class lounge, you can see these tiles done by the Italian ceramics artist Romano Rui.
Yep.
And I think I brought up a couple. Other divers brought up some. There were guys that brought up maybe one or what. But I had two complete ones, but I also had some pieces and parts. And I had, as near as I could tell, it looked like I was missing 3 pieces. But I had, so I had most of it, but I was missing 3 pieces. I had a couple of other pieces that weren't the 3 pieces from this panel, but they were a small part of another panel. And I got together with a guy who was on Steve Belinda's boat at the time. And he was in the same situation I was. He had an almost complete panel and was missing 3 pieces. And he and I changed pieces, and he completed his panel and I completed my panel.
Wow.
And I always thought that was, that was pretty cool in that it was just like kismet. you know, the panels themselves, I actually sold the intact ones, but I kept the one that I assembled, and yeah, but you know, I always thought that was really pretty darn cool.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Deadfoot Diver. Subscribe and share. Your support means the world to me. If you'd like to contribute directly, you can do so at the link in the description at buymeacoffee.com/deadfootdiver. Every donation helps me work towards earning my adaptive dive buddy certification, travel costs to help me assist other adaptive divers, and covering further training and equipment costs, bringing you on even more exciting adventures. Don't forget to check out my guest links in the description. And remember, grab an adventure and live. That is it. That is amazing. Yeah, definitely. So is there any bits of advice that you can give anybody that wants to go dive the Andrea Doria in the state that it's in now?
Sure. You know, and it's not just the Andrea Doria. It's like, you know, get prepared. If you want to dive the Andrea Doria, you can't start preparing with less than a year.
Yeah.
In other words, you have to research the wreck. You have to research the diving history on the wreck. You have to your diving has to be such that it's, you know, whether that you understand how those dives are made operationally, and you know, your thermal protection is all dialed in, and it you need everything clicking, because you can't. I've seen guys say, "Oh yeah, no, I'm ready to do this," and then, you know, they're not. Why? Oh, because you know, their wife wants to divorce them, or, you know, their kids in jail, or you know, life happens around them, and it's like, you know, not you can't you're not going to be successful in the Andrea Doria if you're letting all these distractions, if you have a bunch of distractions. I've seen guys actually come to the boat, and they're assembling their tanks on the boat. You know,
On the boat.
yeah. Well, you know, I had to fly in, and I was gonna, like, you know, it's like, okay, we should have flown in you know, a day before, flown in the week before, you know, yeah. The thing where, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go there and kind of, you know, snap my fingers and make it happen. You can't change anything for the big dive, and I don't care whether it's Andrea Doria or whatever it is. I mean, you can change stuff, but change it, dive it, troubleshoot it, become comfortable with it, and then go to the big dive.
Yeah.
You can't say, "Oh, I'm doing the big dive. You know what? I'm smart enough to know I got to change this way I've been diving it. This is all wrong. I am really good at diving it wrong." And it's like, no, and I think most guys actually know that. I think they just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
So
the yeah, I find that when I add a new piece of gear just because of my adaptiveness, I tell everybody, yeah, give me at least 3 dives to get comfortable with it, because I'm dealing with an extra piece of gear and I'm blind in one eye.
well, you know, the thing is, it's like, I mean, you know that, but at the same time, you know, you can't prepare for the Andrea Doria if you're not diving the gear you're going to dive the Andrea Doria with, and you can't prepare to dive the Andrea Doria off of New York by diving in Florida. You know,
Yeah.
you can't you know, and I mean it's like, you know, it's like, okay, get out of bed, pull on your big boy pants, and say, if I'm going to dive the Andrea Doria, then I have to do this stuff. If I don't do these things that I know I should do, then I shouldn't dive it.
Yeah.
And guys, you know, guys don't want to say that. Guys are like, well, you know, I would have rather done this knowing what the hell I'm doing, but you know, oh, I'm feeling lucky, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I know that since I've gotten older, because I turned 55 this year, I
Oh my
like
God,
doing risky.
do I have to speak louder?
I know 55. Uh, but you know, I find that as I get older, I still enjoy challenges and risks, but since my body's a little bit more banged up, I like to stack the odds in my favor.
No, which, when you're talking about something like the Andrea Doria, it's like the you know we all know there's been a bunch of fatalities on the Andrea Doria, but the thing
Yep.
is, there's also been a slew of close calls.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, it's you don't want to be a close call.
Yep.
You don't want to be a fatality. And it's like, you know, Andrea Doria is not the place to learn how to dive.
Yep.
You know,
Completely agree.
there was a time diving the Andrea Doria where the coroner in Suffolk County there knew my name. How embarrassing is that? When the guys come, hey, John, Danny, hey, how you guys doing? How do you think we're doing? Does anybody ever see you show up and go like, oh, good, the coroner's here? No.
Yeah, that's not good when the coroner knows you by first name
No.
like that.
No. It's like, dude, did you get our shirts yet? Across the back. No, and it's like, you know, it's dark humor and it makes us laugh, but the thing is, it's not funny.
No.
There's nothing positive. There's nothing fun about a dive accident, and I don't care if it's somebody getting bent or it's a fatality. It impacts the community. It impacts your family, and you have an obligation if you're going to do serious diving, Andrea Doria or Britannic or you know, anything. If you're going to be a decompression diver, you have to take responsibility at a level where you say, I'm going to protect my family by doing this well,
Yeah.
and I'm going to put in the time, I'm going to put in the effort, and I'm going to put in the money to not just do this, but to do this with minimal risk, with a level of risk that is so low it's acceptable. Diving is inherently dangerous. You can't say nothing is ever going to happen. If you have a heart attack underwater, if you faint underwater,
Yeah.
you know, we had a girl on the sinker faints at the ladder at the back of the boat. What the hell? What happened? Oh, I'm hypoglycemic. Well, okay, maybe we should do this differently then. You know, you know, you can't. There's certain things that you can't just say, you know, I'm feeling kind of lucky. You know, no, we can't. We welcome good luck. There's good luck and bad luck. We welcome good luck. We welcome good fortune. But we prepared for bad luck because stuff happens. You know, I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of dives, and somebody said about me, they said, if it can go wrong, it's probably happened to John twice, and you know, it's just, you know, if the odds are 1 in 1,000, okay, is it going to be your 1,000th dive or your first dive where it happens? Because everything's on the bell curve. So you know, you cannot especially in you know, the underwater environment. It doesn't matter if you're on wrecks or you're on caves or where you are, but certainly the more extreme disciplines, the environment does not tolerate foolishness. I mean, we can have fun and be silly and you know, all that, but when it's time to jump in the water, it's got to be like all business.
Yeah.
And if you're scared, there's probably a reason. You know, I mean, we're all, you know, you're doing something in the water and you say, hey, you know, like I hope this works out good. But the warm blanket that it makes you feel cozy is the fact that you put in the time and the energy to figure this out. And you visualize, you know what you're going to do. You've got a rock solid dive plan that you feel good about. And if you don't have that, I got faith in Jesus. Well, you may be seeing him sooner than you're planned. So
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
it's not the way anybody should be diving.
Yeah. No, exactly. And unfortunately, a lot of guys don't take it seriously when they're planning it.
Well, you know what? Which is fine. Diving is awesome recreation.
Yep.
But you shouldn't take that recreational mindset that still requires a minimal amount of into a cave, into a shipwreck, into a deep dive. It's if you want to dive deeper, if you want to penetrate wrecks, if you want to go into caves, if you want to experience the overhead environment, it takes more, and you have to be willing. You have to be willing to give more, to be ready.
So, I understand that you got some courses coming up in the new year because you do a lot of still active teaching.
I haven't taught a class in a couple of years. I've been on a contract overseas doing survey and salvage stuff. That's over. So I'm going to be coming back to. I'm going to be teaching advanced rec. I'm going to be teaching deco procedures, and I'm going to be teaching deep air. And in Pompano Beach, right, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. There's
cool.
It's a great teaching environment. It's an awesome, fun destination. But the shipwrecks, there are specific shipwrecks in that area that, you know, they've got a lot of artificial reef wrecks, but there's also a shipwreck that is a bona fide shipwreck that sank, and it's a great training wreck. Cool. So, and it's relatively close to shore. So, you know, when the worst thing is when you're traveling someplace to try and get training, you don't want to like have the weather knock you out of the box. So but I I have to have a mission, and I love teaching, and I've been teaching. I've been teaching since like 1985. I became an assistant instructor, and you know, doing technical training is that's for me. It's the most fun.
Well, I definitely plan on having you on my cert card, on one of my cert cards.
Fair,
Deep air.
fair, fair enough. But the thing is, I want to see a doctor's note on that thumb.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you've seen the picture of it when it went out of the cast. It should be interesting to see the outcome of it when it actually felt better all week in Jamaica diving.
See. You know, yeah, but you got to go. You got to go to a real doctor. Don't go to one of those guys that's like working out of the trunk of his car. Get a real guy.
Okay, do you know how hard it is to get a doctor appointment in Canada? Our medical system is not that great.
Well, you know, we have the same system here, but it's just more expensive.
Well, true. However, if you got insurance, at least you can get in to see somebody quick instead of it being like months and months and months.
Listen, for you and I, we shouldn't plan on actually going in to see the doctor. We should plan on not going in to see the doctor.
True.
When we fail at that, it's like, oh damn, now I gotta go see the
doctor. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to book courses with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
The best way to get is johnchatterton.com or decompressiondiver.com, deepairdiver.com, and just shoot me an email. I'm on you know, John Chatterton on Facebook. You can find me. I'm easy to find on Facebook. I got I got two different profiles, both John Chatterton. One's that I got a I'm not sure what they call it, but it's like a fan page or something like that. But I can't I can't use messaging. So I've got a real page that I think you and I were talking.
Yeah, you're not hard to find because I found you in a couple minutes on
it. I'm not hard to find. I'm not in witness protection yet.
Actually, it's funny because most of the day, actually, it's not. This is the first time you and I have been talking or chatting that it hasn't been storming and all the times that we've been. First time we were talking, you were in a hurricane.
Well, you know, yeah, and you know, I mean, we were trying last week. We tried to do this, and it was there was, you know, in the third world, internet, electricity are intermittent. So,
yeah. So, all good though.
Well, listen, so, you and I finally made it happen. So.
Finally, and I'm hoping I'm definitely want to come down and do some diving with you for sure.
Cool.
That would be amazing. So, and my wife is all for that as well. So she's like, yeah, okay, if you're getting trained by him or your adaptive instructor, you can do anything you want.
Oh. She'll probably regret those words, but okay.
Yeah, except she would. I'm lucky that way because she totally supports me in the diving bit. Like she's totally 1,000,000% behind me doing all this stuff. And she actually wants to see me dive with you. So
well, are you heavily insured? I'm teasing. It would be my pleasure. We'll you know, we'll get a chance to go diving and it'll be fun for both of us.
Yeah, it'll be amazing. I can't wait. So thank you for joining the Deadfoot Diver Podcast, John. I look forward to having some really cool guests on again and next week. And remember to like, subscribe on my channel. And you can also donate down there to me as well so that I can get some more great content up here and keep on doing this and getting some on-site stuff done. So thank you and have a great day, everybody.